Hi, my name's Trevor, and I make music at home. I'd say, like so many of my generation, was a 4-track. You've probably never seen one, and maybe you never will, but a 4-track was what everyone used in the 70s and 80s. It had 4 tracks, so it was a cassette tape, and you could record something and then go back and put another thing on top of it. Even though I wasn't a musician, I still did it anyways. And it actually was a real cart before the horse thing, because I learned how to do that before I learned how to play anything. In Montreal in '99, at the foot of Uriah Wilkins' bed, we shared a room. I went with a band to Montreal. We drove there from here through Texas, and then I ended up in Montreal the summer of '99, and Uriah showed me a 12-bar blues pattern. That was the first thing I learned. This probably isn't tuned, but he showed me how to go, and then. That was all I knew for about 8 years. Oh, actually, my demonic stepdad showed me, how's this go? That's not right. That one. It was actually super recent. Muddled through with one Stratocaster until about 2 years ago. And I got a tube amp, a really nice amplifier. And after 20 years of fiddling, I really dedicated myself to learning how to play. And then I got into the electronics of guitars and changing the pickups and making a really cheap guitar good. If you buy like a $2,000 guitar, like $1,800 of that is on the looks. And since I don't care about the looks of anything, all these guitars are like $90 to $100 guitars that I've redone. And some of them are now like really amazing instruments. Some of them are like halfway amazing, like anything that you set up yourself. All of these, I've taken out the original electronics and put in really high-end electronics. I guess my interest in guitar was like the hobbyist electronic interest that I have, and just wanting to make them sound good, and finally making progress on getting better at playing them at all. So the last 2 years has been very guitar-centric. Everything here is a ridiculous bargain on Craigslist. I don't buy anything new. So one of my biggest hobbies when I was growing up was I looked at the classified pages of the newspaper all the time. And that carried over into the Craigslist era. So literally every day, I search 45-mile radius for a few things like guitars and amplifiers and EQs and mixers and just everything you see in here. And that's how I've acquired all of these things. And then I'll send someone a note like, if you get to where you'll take 80 for that, let me know. And that works about 40% of the time. And I've gotten all of these things for pennies on the dollar. I also read all the manuals of stuff that I find, even if I never buy it. So I have a lot of kind of knowledge of the gear space out of this hobby. The same way someone else would go on Facebook and scroll. I'm on Craigslist scrolling amplifiers. I could point to anything and it's all half price or less. The main recording thing is the MacBook over there. And then there's a thing called an interface, which is what ultimately puts files into your computer that used to be sound waves. You need an interface. Some interfaces are like 2-channel USB things that are like $80, and then an interface can be $20,000 from SSL. But I have a super cheap $80 interface that is a mixer. That is just a really nice mixer, and then this main soundboard is where all the instruments go into that. So the only reason I have that huge soundboard is so I never have to unplug or plug anything in. When I walk out here, if I want to mess around on this synth right here, it's already set up and ready to go. And that's like the most important thing I learned over the years, is that if you get right brain and you're running cables and getting a piece of gear plugged in, you're probably not going to make a song that day. You're going to like go online and Google how to get the VSTs to work or whatever. So part of it was just realizing that if I wanted to make music instead of have a hobby of running cables, then I would have to leave everything plugged in so that if I feel like I can just walk out here and I can be recording any of these things in less than a minute. So one thing that's really fun to make music on is a looping pedal. Basically, you're able to use a foot switch to record a bit of music and then hit the foot switch again and then put something else over it. And it's a really instant way to build entire tracks. A lot of what's over here serves this looping pedal. This is a really nice looper from Electro Harmonics. This is a really cool drum machine called a Novation Circuit. That also has a couple synths built in. So if you've ever heard of an MPC from Akai, which a lot of hip hop producers make their tracks on, this is a really similar device to that. So I could walk over to that drum set and do the kick drum and go thunk, 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 and then put it on one of these buttons, thunk, 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 and then make a beat. I've got this really cool strum pedal. The way that thing works is really weird. You can actually play your guitar to make a drum beat. So you can just go like thunk, ka, thunk, thunk, ka, thunk, ka, and then it'll build a drum beat around that. If you play in a cover band, which I have, you can like put on a song that you're trying to learn and then just play along with it on the strum real quick and then turn that off and then use that to learn the song. And then I have an effects processor here that can do all sorts of reverbs and choruses and like probably 1,000 different things. The thing that I have the best of is guitar amplifiers. I have a really nice all-tube guitar amplifier with a really nice cab. And then I also have a thing called a Fractal AX8, which is like a top-of-the-line digital guitar modeler. I have another cool pedal board for guitars where you can stomp on. This one has weird stuff on it. Like if you've ever heard the old 70s wah thing that goes like wow, wow, wow. So this is that for that. This is a cool digital synth called a Mini Nova. It has a fun thing called a vocoder that you might have used before, where you can sing into the microphone and then use the piano keys to play your voice as an instrument, just like Cher. And this is called a modular synth rig, where this is basically about 4 synthesizers, which would be like oscillators and envelopes and gates and effects. And then I have 2 other analog synthesizers. This one is like a fake thing called a Model D, which is the most probably popular analog synth in the history of the world, if not the Mini Moog. And then this is same company, but one that they invented themselves. This over here is a harmonizer, so I can sing and then turn on and off like barbershop harmonies behind it. And you can even choose like what kind of people they are and where they're standing, and like this guy's loud sometimes and then this lady's shrill. You can it's pretty fun little barbershop quartet doohickey. Oh yeah, and then if I have a real singer in, when I sing, I just sing into, these are the kinds of microphones you would use on stage. So they don't feed back easily and they're very directional. So when I turn this mic on, it only captures like a laser of sound. So I make like weird rock music. If you want to hear like my heroes, then there would be, there's a band called Ween, and there's a band called Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. And that's kind of what my stuff turns out like. Not what I'm shooting for. So I have mostly rock and roll stuff. Rock and roll amplifiers and rock and roll bass setup and a drum set. And the synth stuff is for more progressive rock sounds. I think it's because for the entire time I've been that guy and people have come to me. So I've recorded other people for 20-something years. I've made albums of other people coming in, and I've been the one that ran the stuff and held the mics and like decided how to mix it and everything. And that is my expertise. And then I just turned the corner recently into trying to make my own music. Some of it has to do with expense because I'm so frugal or whatever, such a bargain hunter. I think I've been able to put this entire thing together and own it for about what it would cost to do one album at a recording studio. I really enjoy the act of wiring things. I really enjoy electronics and soldering and building circuit boards and all that kind of stuff. So that has a lot to do with it as well. If that's not your passion, this probably wouldn't be the way to go. I mean, don't get me wrong, music is way more interesting, impressive, and that's what I ultimately am in love with. It's just my little sort of field underneath it that I'm good at. I'll never be able to sing like some of the singers I know or play guitar like some of the guitar players I know, but I've never met anyone who can run cables like I can.